what they did was wrong. They're going to get sued for slander of credit. Maybe that'll light a fire. 303-713-TALK. Carol, what's going on with you, Carol?
Hi, Tom. I have a brother who went to the mailbox in June and got an emergency order. He's divorced for about 6 years, has a 6-year-old daughter. An emergency order that says he's no longer able to see the father until further notice.
Wait.
Yes.
Carol, he's not allowed to see the father?
The daughter, his daughter.
Oh, okay. He's not allowed to see his daughter. Why?
Yeah. He read me the statement over the...
Was it a restraining order?
Well, it's not. It's a petition, a preliminary order alleging that the child, it's an investigation that the child was engaged while in custody with her father that...
engaged in what?
Well, it says...
molestation?
The girl who was 6 asked a 3-year-old little boy to penetrate her digitally while they bathed together. And her behavior is escalating for about a year. And the mother asked her to learn this.
Okay, I see.
Said her father.
A 6-year-old girl said this?
His daughter is the girl, 6 years old, and apparently told this to the mother.
Which side are you on here?
Well, I'm going to be very reasonable here.
I mean, if a 6-year-old girl said that, you know they have every reason to investigate this.
My brother has his own trucking company, and he is out of town or working most of the time. And in all honesty, my mother takes care of the child while he is out of town. They live in Colorado Springs, and she is the primary caregiver, in all honesty, when he is gone. And I don't want to get too real personal here, but we come from a good family, go to Latin Mass, blah, blah, blah. Good members of our
I mean, that's a terrible thing that she would say. I'm not saying he's guilty by any means, but what would bring that out, or is the mom lying about it?
Tom, that is really it. And she has done this before.
Well, wait. So wouldn't an investigator, though, talk to the child alone, of course?
This is why I'm frustrated. It seems like that she cleans house for the Department of Human Services, some lady down there in Fremont County where she lives. So she has these friends in Human Services.
Yeah, but you know what? And Pete, do you think friendship would make up a story? I mean, I don't think you can corrupt these people just because you clean their house.
I would think there would have to have been some deep investigation before this came out.
No, well, first of all, it's a temporary suspension, right, of his rights until it's investigated?
Yes.
And what do they say the next step is? What do they say the next step is?
Well, that he has to appear in court, and the funny thing is he contacted a lawyer because he just came out of the blue, and the lawyer said you needed to appear in court the following Monday, which I think was sometime in June. And he said, well, wait a minute, I didn't get a notice to appear in court. And the lawyer said, well, they don't have to post that. I don't understand how this all works. So
they don't have to post it. He doesn't have to be served?
Apparently not. The lawyer told him that he needed to be. It's just not adding up. All I know is that this woman he met, she's a slut. And I'm sorry he doesn't have a strong...
So he wasn't married?
What's that?
It wasn't his wife?
Well, his ex-wife.
Okay.
And
the ex-wife is a slut, you're saying?
Tells us that she has boyfriends at the house. And
who tells you this? Your 6-year-old?
The 6-year-old, my niece, will oftentimes say that, she has a boyfriend there, and then my mom will say, well, where do you sleep? She says, well, I sleep with Mommy and her boyfriend, and my mom will say in the same bed, or it's a very disgusting lifestyle that she leads, and I truly believe she's trying to get out of town and wants to take full custody of her daughter, and she's trying to get my brother in trouble.
That wouldn't be the first time. It happens all the time.
Well, this is so unfair. I mean,
but that's why you have investigations.
I
mean, they don't just take the mother's word for it. They do investigations. I mean, they really do.
I hope they do, but it doesn't seem like anybody is caring to do anything. My brother seems like he's all of a sudden, he's a bad guy for no reason.
No, it's unfortunate, but they do have to investigate. I mean, if anyone makes an accusation, it would break my heart, but it has to be investigated. And I would think if you really, truly, truly, truly investigate, then they'll find the truth. But you seem to think they're going to want to build a case against your son because the ex-wife cleans for someone at social services. I can't believe anyone would be that evil.
Well, she was in court with that woman and all of her friends, and the judge got mad at her because they were making a mockery of the court, but
don't you think that an investigator, they're not going to listen to a friend just because they clean the house? Well, you see, I clean her house, and she believes me. Don't you think they're going to talk to the daughter? I mean, you got to let this investigation go on. Mike, are you just going to keep him on hold like that, or can I talk to him? Is he not on? Okay, he's not on? Okay, I thought you were talking to him. We're trying to get some advice for you, Carol. Mike was talking to an attorney about this, and we want to get some advice. I mean, an attorney that does domestic and, family law.
Okay.
But as with anything, they will appoint an investigator. Didn't they say what the steps are? Did your son contact anyone? And by the way, if he didn't, or your brother, if he didn't show up for court, that's a big time problem.
No, he did.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he did.
And when he showed up for court, what did the judge say would happen?
He said, my brother said, I need to get representation.
Right, he does.
And the ex-wife and all her friends were almost chanting together and kept saying, well, but we're here now, over and over again. In other words, let's proceed with this now.
Oh, I know.
We're burning daylight, and the heck with him having representation. We're here now. My brother said, no, I need representation. So the next step is that he has contacted a lawyer, and then he has another court date. But I just don't know.
What attorney did you get?
A gentleman that worked with them. They had a trash company for 30 years in Colorado Springs, and the attorney they contacted had worked with them in my dad's business.
Well, what the hell good is that? You need an attorney used to these kinds of issues.
Well, the attorney referred him to his niece, I guess, who handles this stuff, who is also a lawyer in the same office. Tom, I don't know much more than that.
Okay.
I know
Listen,
that it's
Carol, first of all, attorneys shouldn't be selected based on friends of friends. They should be selected on quality and based on representation and reputation, okay? God almighty. I mean, if you're going to have a heart transplant or a valve replacement, you're going to go to a friend who has a friend who just might happen to do it?
Right, I get that.
I mean, really, well, you got to help your brother, okay? You don't just go to someone because he knows someone who knows someone. I mean, I'm not saying they're bad, but for goodness sakes, that's not how you choose an attorney for something serious.
I understand that.
So talk to him about that.
I will.
Okay, Mike, I can't wait any longer. I'm sorry. Pete, I mean, I would just insist, if I was him, I would say to the judge, Judge, I want this investigated to the fullest. I just beg you that it be impartial.
I think that's great
advice. What I would do.
That's great advice, Tom.
And I will answer any questions you want at any time.
As he does want to get it cleared, as absolutely, that would be the best position to take. And as you point out, to get somebody on his side who is really experienced in this, because there is so much at stake. I mean, he really needs to get somebody who will back him and will represent him to the fullest. I know you have people at mylegalhelpcenter.com and other places where he can look, but he really can't take this anything but seriously with these type of charges.
I mean, Carol, are you still on? Carol?
Yes.
I want you to listen, okay, because we have Peggy Walker from Harris Family Law.
Okay.
They are so used to things like this. Trust me. It's unfortunately becoming a trend.
I don't get it at all, Tom.
Well, let's talk. Just listen to this. Peggy Walker,
Yes, I'm here.
Attorney at law with Harris Family Law, part of mylegalhelpcenter.com.
Hi, Peggy. Hi.
Now, listen, Peggy, attorney, let's talk. This is such a terrible thing. This happens. Now, let's say, for argument's sake, it's a false accusation, as we've seen in many divorces and child custody. They haven't been apart for years, right, Carol?
They've been apart for years, yes, Tom.
And the girl's 6 years old.
Yes.
The dad gets a notice. This is Carol's brother. Gets a notice he can't see his girl anymore while this charge is being investigated because the girl apparently was bathing and asked the little boy to put his finger somewhere, and they've asked the girl, well, who told you that? Where'd you learn this? And she said, from Daddy. And so obviously we want this investigated. Obviously, even the dad wants it investigated if he's innocent. And so what happens? Like, she's concerned, Carol's concerned, that because the mom does house cleaning for someone at social services in that department, that she's automatically going to get her way. Peggy, don't they take these very seriously, these accusations? I doubt they would want to ruin this guy's life.
Absolutely. The consequences of being convicted of a sex crime are huge. People register as sex offenders even for very minor charges. And so I think that the criminal justice system recognizes that and tries to be very careful about whether this is true or not. And
how do they investigate? What's the next step? The judge said, we're taking away your rights while we investigate. So will they assign an independent investigator? Will they talk to him at least and talk to the child? Or will
they'll do a forensic interview with the child, and they need to be very which county is it?
Fremont.
Fremont, okay. Hopefully they have a trained interviewer that they will use down there, because children of that age are very suggestible.
Of course.
And so the person doing the interview has to be very careful not to indicate to the child that there's some particular outcome, or the child will agree with them.
When I say to my little boy, tell Mom what we did today, and he says, we did this or that, and I say, and then didn't we crash the car? And he says, yeah, we crashed the car. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, it gets that. So if you have a vindictive mother, will an investigator not let her suggest? I mean, will a trained investigator interview without that input from the parent?
Right. I think they always do a separate private interview, and they tape it. And so if there's anything improper in the interview, the father would have an opportunity to see it and have other people evaluate whether the interview was valid or not.
Now, here's the important reason why, Carol, your brother needs counsel who has been through this before. Here's why. Because they know the investigators. They can actually say, nope, that will not do. We want so-and-so because so-and-so has this much experience and all of that. Not to cover up things, but to get to the bottom of it. That's why they need a good law firm. I'm Tom Martino on 630 KHW. Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. Welcome to the show. 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. Comment on an eviction. Pat, what eviction are you commenting on? The one where the woman moved out at the end of the lease and it was showing up as an eviction?
Yeah, regarding evictions, there's two types of evictions in Colorado. There's the standard judicial eviction where you go to court, the 3-day demand.
Yeah.
You get possession, the sheriff, and the whole 9 yards. There's the other type of eviction, which is commonly called a midnight eviction.
I don't know. What's that about?
Well, what a midnight eviction is, under threat of eviction, the tenant moves out in the middle of the night. That's the term midnight eviction.
I never heard of that.
Well, it's where the tenant relinquishes the property.
But there would have to be some kind of default involved, right?
There would have to be a default or a breach in the lease on the tenant's part in which they're suing for eviction.
So what breach would there be?
Whatever is claimed by the landlord, thus on the 3-day demand posting and in court. But here's the concern, and the reason that they may have completed the eviction based upon the situation. If the tenant just moved out, and they left some personal belongings there, many property managers will complete the eviction all the way to the sheriff showing up to grant possession of the property due to potential liabilities. And let me give you a very brief, true story, somewhat obtuse example of this. Landlord threatens to evict. Tenant moves out in the middle of the night, leaves a pile of junk in the middle of the living room. Landlord walks in, sees all this trash.
Right, they have to do an eviction.
Yeah, they have to do an eviction.
I understand that.
In the middle of that trash was a pile of ashes that looked like they came out of the barbecue
Well,
grill.
she claims, of course, that everything was done properly. Notice was given, the apartment was cleaned and vacated, and keys were turned in.
Once the keys are turned in, the assumption is that everything left is considered abandoned. All right?
I just don't know why they went through with an eviction. I don't know what the purpose was.